There is a quiet battlefield inside every human being. No one sees it. No one hears it. Yet every victory and every defeat you will ever experience begins there. Inside your mind. Before wealth is created, before empires rise, before a single dream becomes reality, something invisible must happen first. A decision. A belief. A command issued from the deepest chamber of thought. History has proven this truth again and again. When Thomas Edison failed thousands of times while trying to invent the light bulb, the world saw failure. But inside his mind, there was no failure. There was only certainty. Certainty that the answer existed, and certainty that persistence would uncover it. When Henry Ford declared that he would build an engine with 8 cylinders cast in a single block, his engineers told him it was impossible. Yet Ford did not argue with them. He simply repeated one command: produce it anyway. Months passed, then years. The engineers tried and failed again and again. But Ford had already decided the outcome in his mind. And eventually, the engineers discovered how to do it. Because when a mind refuses defeat, the world is eventually forced to rearrange itself around that decision. This is the secret few people truly understand. The world does not respond to your wishes. It responds to your mindset. Your mind is not just a place where thoughts appear and disappear. It is a command center, a creative engine, a magnet that pulls circumstances, opportunities, and people toward the vision you consistently hold. Yet most people surrender this power without realizing it. They allow doubt to occupy their mind. They allow fear to make decisions for them. They allow the opinions of others to define what is possible. And slowly, almost silently, their lives shrink to match the limits of their thinking. But the moment you decide to master your mind, everything begins to change. Because a disciplined mind is the most powerful force on earth. Consider the life of Abraham Lincoln. Before he became one of the greatest leaders in history, Lincoln faced defeat after defeat. Business failures, political losses, personal tragedy. At one point, he suffered such deep despair that many feared he would never recover. But Lincoln possessed something stronger than circumstances. A mind anchored in purpose. He refused to allow temporary setbacks to become permanent beliefs. And because of that inner mastery, he eventually guided a divided nation through its darkest hour. This is the difference between those who drift through life and those who shape history. The drifter reacts. The master decides. Your life is not determined by the events that happen around you. It is determined by the meaning you assign to those events. A rejection can either become a wound or a weapon. A failure can either become proof that you are not capable or evidence that you are getting closer to mastery. The mind chooses, and once it chooses, reality begins to follow. This is why the first step toward extraordinary achievement is not strategy. It is not resources. It is not connections. It is mental dominion. You must become the ruler of your own thoughts. Because if you do not control your mind, something else will. Fear will control it. Doubt will control it. The expectations of others will control it. And a mind controlled by fear can never create greatness. But when you take full ownership of your thinking, something extraordinary begins to happen. Your vision sharpens. You stop chasing approval and start chasing purpose. You stop asking, what if I fail? And begin asking, what if I succeed beyond anything I've imagined? The shift is subtle, but its consequences are enormous. Every great achievement begins as an act of imagination. Before Walt Disney built the kingdom that would become the Walt Disney Company, he carried nothing but a vision. Banks rejected him. Businessmen mocked him. Critics called his ideas unrealistic. But Disney understood a truth that most people overlook. Reality is created twice. First in the mind, and then in the world. He saw castles before they existed. He saw stories before they were written. He saw joy in the faces of millions who had not yet visited his parks. And because that vision was so clear, so alive in his mind, the world eventually followed. Your life operates by the same principle. Clarity of vision is power. When you know exactly what you want, your mind begins to organize your actions around that goal. Your attention sharpens. Your decisions become more precise. Your energy stops leaking into distractions. But when your vision is vague, your life becomes vague. You drift. You hesitate. You allow circumstances to determine your direction. And slowly, opportunity passes you by. This is why mastery of the mind requires ruthless clarity. Ask yourself a question most people avoid. What do I truly want? Not what others expect. Not what feels safe. Not what seems realistic. But what your deepest ambition whispers when the world becomes quiet. Because buried inside that whisper is the blueprint of your potential. And once that blueprint becomes clear, your responsibility changes. You are no longer allowed to live small. You are no longer allowed to hide behind excuses. You are no longer allowed to betray your potential with hesitation. The moment a vision becomes clear in your mind, discipline must follow. Discipline is the bridge between imagination and achievement. Without it, dreams remain fantasies. With it, dreams become inevitable outcomes. Look again at the lives of history's builders. Andrew Carnegie did not build one of the most powerful business empires of his era through talent alone. He built it through relentless focus and disciplined thinking. He surrounded himself with people who shared a common vision. He trained his mind to look for opportunity where others saw difficulty. He treated every obstacle as a puzzle waiting to be solved. And gradually, step by step, his disciplined mindset created extraordinary wealth. But wealth is not only financial. The true wealth of mastery is control over your own destiny. When your mind becomes disciplined, you no longer wait for motivation. You act whether you feel inspired or not. You show up when it is difficult. You persist when it is inconvenient. You continue when others would quit. And this is where most people separate themselves from greatness. Because the mind loves comfort. It whispers seductive lies. Rest today. Start tomorrow. You've done enough. But the master recognizes those whispers for what they are. Resistance. And instead of obeying resistance, the master overrides it with action. Every time you choose discipline over comfort, you strengthen the authority of your mind. Every time you keep a promise to yourself, your confidence grows. Every time you refuse to surrender to excuses, your identity begins to change. You stop seeing yourself as someone who tries. You begin seeing yourself as someone who executes. And once that identity takes hold, momentum becomes unstoppable. Because the world respects one thing above all else. Consistency. Not talent. Not luck. Not intelligence. Consistency. The person who continues when others quit eventually stands alone at the top. And the world, seeing that persistence, begins to open doors that once seemed invisible. Opportunities appear. Allies merge. Fortune begins to move. Not because the universe favors you, but because your mindset has finally aligned with the laws of achievement. This is the hidden truth behind every extraordinary life. Master the mind, and the world will follow. But mastering the mind is not a single decision made once in a moment of inspiration. It is a daily conquest. Every morning when you wake, the world quietly asks you a question. Will you lead your mind today, or will your mind lead you? Most people never realize this battle exists. They wake up and immediately surrender their attention to noise. Messages. Opinions. Comparison. Within minutes their focus is scattered, their energy diluted, and their direction unclear. But the individual who intends to shape their destiny understands something different. The morning is sacred. Before the world enters your mind, you must enter it first. Because the thoughts you plant at the beginning of the day become the emotional climate of everything that follows. This is why the greatest builders of history developed rituals of mental discipline. Benjamin Franklin began every morning by asking himself a simple but powerful question. What good shall I do today? That question shaped his focus, his behavior, and eventually his legacy. When you ask powerful questions, your mind begins searching for powerful answers. But when you ask weak questions, why is life unfair? Why does nothing work for me? Your mind obediently finds evidence to support those beliefs. Your mind is like a fertile field. Whatever seeds you plant there will grow. Plant doubt and limitation grows. Plant vision and possibility grows. Plant discipline and achievement grows. The mind does not judge what you plant. It simply cultivates what you repeat. And repetition is the architect of belief. This is why visualization has transformed the lives of countless achievers. Long before success appears in the physical world, it must first be rehearsed in the theater of the mind. Athletes understand this. Leaders understand this. Creators understand this. They close their eyes and see the outcome they intend to produce. They feel the victory before it happens. They experience the emotions of success as if it already exists. And this mental rehearsal trains the subconscious mind to move toward that reality. Years before he became a global icon, Muhammad Ali repeated a simple declaration: "I am the greatest." People laughed. Critics mocked him. Commentators dismissed him. But Ali was not speaking to the world. He was programming his mind. Each repetition strengthened the identity he intended to become. And eventually, that belief translated into performance, resilience, and dominance inside the ring. Your mind works the same way. The identity you repeat eventually becomes the identity you embody. If you constantly tell yourself you are unlucky, overwhelmed, or incapable, your mind will begin proving that story true. But if you decide with absolute conviction that you are disciplined, resilient, and destined for growth, your mind begins searching for ways to confirm that belief. And this shift changes everything. Because belief influences behavior. Behavior influences results. Results reinforce belief. It becomes a cycle, either upward or downward. Those who master their mind intentionally create an upward spiral. They guard their mental environment with precision. They choose carefully what voices they allow to influence their thinking. They refuse to feed their mind with negativity disguised as entertainment. They treat their focus as a priceless resource. Because attention is the currency of creation. Whatever you consistently focus on expands. Focus on problems, and your mind multiplies obstacles. Focus on solutions, and your mind multiplies opportunities. This is why some people seem to attract progress while others seem trapped in stagnation. The difference is not luck. The difference is focus. When your mind becomes solution-oriented, challenges lose their power to intimidate you. You begin seeing problems not as barriers but as invitations to grow stronger. Think of the determination of Thomas Edison once more. When asked about his thousands of failed experiments, Edison responded with calm certainty. "I have not failed. I've just found 10,000 ways that won't work." That response reveals the mind of a master. Where others saw defeat, Edison saw data. Where others felt discouraged, Edison felt curious. And curiosity is one of the most powerful forces for growth. A curious mind does not shrink from difficulty. It studies it. It adapts. And adaptation is the secret weapon of resilience. Because life will test every vision you create. It will challenge your patience. It will test your endurance. It will place obstacles directly in the path of your ambition. Not to destroy you, but to refine you. Steel is not forged in comfort. It is forged in fire. Your character follows the same law. Every difficulty strengthens your mental muscles if you choose to interpret it correctly. Every delay teaches patience. Every setback sharpens strategy. Every failure reveals information that moves you closer to mastery. But this transformation only occurs when you refuse to surrender control of your thinking. The moment you allow bitterness to take root in your mind, growth stops. The moment you begin blaming the world for your circumstances, power leaves your hands. But when you reclaim responsibility, complete responsibility, something extraordinary happens. You regain control. Responsibility is not a burden. It is liberation. Because if you are responsible for your results, then you also possess the power to change them. And that realization awakens a deeper level of discipline. You begin managing your habits with intention. Because habits are the daily expressions of your mindset. A disciplined mind builds disciplined routines. You read when others scroll. You learn when others complain. You prepare when others procrastinate. And over time, these seemingly small decisions compound into enormous advantages. The mind that commits to continuous learning becomes unstoppable. Knowledge sharpens judgment. Experience deepens wisdom, and wisdom allows you to navigate challenges with calm clarity. Look at the relentless curiosity of Leonardo da Vinci. He studied anatomy, engineering, painting, architecture, physics, not because he needed to, but because his mind demanded expansion. That hunger for understanding fueled his brilliance. And while few will match his genius, everyone can adopt his mindset. Never allow your mind to stagnate. Growth is the natural state of a living mind. Read widely. Think deeply. Ask questions constantly. Every new idea expands the territory of your thinking. And the larger your thinking becomes, the larger your life can become. But knowledge alone is not enough. There must also be courage. Courage to act when the outcome is uncertain. Courage to pursue visions that others do not yet understand. Courage to persist long after the excitement of the beginning fades. Because the road to mastery is not glamorous. It is quiet. It is repetitive. It is built from thousands of small actions performed with unwavering discipline. Most people quit not because they lack ability, but because they lack endurance. They want immediate results. They want instant recognition. They want success without the long, invisible season of preparation. But nature does not operate that way. A tree does not grow overnight. Roots must form before branches can rise. And the deeper the roots, the stronger the tree becomes. Your success follows the same pattern. Every disciplined day strengthens the unseen foundation of your future. Every hour invested in growth expands your capacity. And eventually, almost suddenly, the results appear.